This is Ronnie Guest, and welcome to the 2017 Live Your Best Life Conference. This is an exciting time, and I have the honor and privilege of being here with you today. My background a little bit, I served my country. I've obtained a couple of different degrees. I've worked in multiple organizations throughout my professional career. But that's enough about me because today is all about you. And again, I would like to welcome you to the 2017 Live Your Best Life Conference. Think about that title for a moment. Really sit back and think about that title for a moment and what that means to live your best life. Because when you think about it, in a nutshell, we only get one. And since you get that one, you might as well do the best you can, enjoy it, have fun, live your life to the fullest, and not let anything get in your way. This is a very exciting and a special day, as this day you'll recognize what fuels your fire. Think about that for a minute. What fuels your fire? When you think of fire, what comes to mind? Probably thinking about the stuff on the stove, you put your hand, you get burnt. No. For me, when I think of fire, it's an acronym. F stands for something, I stands for something, R stands for something, and so does E. And that's how we get our fire. The F, that's the freedom. Freedom is power. You have to set the goals that you want to do, anything that you want to achieve without any limits. This is your goal, and no one can tell you what you can or can't do. This is that fire that's burning inside of you. And think about it. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be whatever you want to be. You just got to recognize what that is, do the best that you can, and point yourself in that right direction so that you can do that. And for me, when I look back and I think of those that have come before me, those that have laid the foundation for me to help me become the man that I am today, I thank them because through their hard work, their labors, they've given me that freedom that I can move forward. The I, that's your ignition. This is the fuel that lights your fire. Because when you think of fire, again, there's got to be an ignition source. There's got to be something that's going to help you burn inside to get you where you want to be. That can be something or someone. We all have something that's unique to us. We just don't know what it is. And we may not think about it as an ignition source. But for me, this is the drive and the determination to help you succeed, to be the person that you want to be, to make the contributions in society that you want to make. So take a moment and think about what or who your ignition source is. Because again, this is what you're going to use to help you get started as you recognize what your fire is so that you can fuel it and move forward. The R, that's reverence, or I like to say REV for short. This is honor. This is to honor not only to yourself, but to honor those that have helped you get to this point. In other words, this is where you begin to respect yourself for taking a chance to live your best life and rev it up. And when I say rev, think about it for a moment. How many times have you been hungry? You're like, oh God, I'm hungry. I got to get something to eat. Or I'm thirsty. I got to get something to drink. You may be saying, I'm going to go out to eat. You jump in your car. You ignite it. That's the ignition. You start revving it up. And you really have no clue where you're going. But sometimes that's the exact same thing that we have in our life. We get fired up. We get excited. We start revving up. But then we don't know where to go. That's when you need to reel it back in and say, let me go through the processes to figure out where it is that I want to go. Let's map this out. So when I get in and I rev it up and I begin to engage, and then we hit the E, the engage. This is when you start to move forward. You begin to see your goals to fruition. It's not easy, but again, this is one of the most important parts to help you get moving in order to live your best life. You can't just sit there. If you want to live your best life, you must get moving. There's no other way around it. I'm going to tell you a quick story. One of the things that I look back, my grandmother, she was born in 1911. And when you think about that for a moment, 1911, the Titanic was still above water. That's a long time ago. And I think about all the stories that she used to tell me of the struggles that she went through and just trying to get through everyday life. At one point, making a mere 40 cents a week. Think about that for a moment, 40 cents a week. But her fire was her kids. And then as her kids had kids, the grandkids became her fire. So she did everything for us. Just like my mother, they all worked for us so that they could be successful to help us get to the point where we could live a better life. So then you stop and you say, okay, what next? What's stopping you from living your best life? Think about that for a minute. Everybody gets afraid. Is it that you have a lack of courage and that you might fail? You know what? Failure are merely lessons learned. And without failing at some point, you don't learn to appreciate the successes that you're going to go through. We all fail. The great Michael Jordan said that he missed every shot that he never took. So think about that for a moment. You got to get out there. You got to take your best shot to live your best life. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to say that it's easy. There's going to be challenges that you're going to be faced with. There's just going to be challenges. Is another thing that's stopping you possibly finances? I know it can be. It can be a daunting task. It can be scary, But guess what? You can be living your best life, putting your work outside of the work that you do for your normal day. And I get it. I have a daytime job just like many other people. But it's the time when you get off your job, when you start working for yourself, for your passion, for your desire, for your determination. Those are the times that you really need to start to cherish. And it doesn't cost a lot, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But again, if you go back when I talked about engaging, that's getting yourself moving. This is where you need to start to recognize where you need to be, what you need to be doing, but also putting forth the effort to make it happen. Again, no one's going to do it for you. You have one life and it's your life to live. So you might as well make it the best life that you can. There's also naysayers. We've all been around them. Heck, I have to even be honest. There's been times in my life that some of my friends have said, I want to do this or I want to do that. Or relatives have said, I want to do this in my career or I want to do that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's not going to happen. But I was one of those naysayers. But now I tell you, after going through the things that I've gone through in my career, my professional career, my education, and just engaging with those that are in my inner circle, now it's a support network. Those are the things that you need to be supporting others to try to help them get where they want to be so that they can see their goals through to fruition. Don't let anyone steal your joy. Your joy, again, that goes back to your fire. Don't let anyone douse your fire. You do what you want to do and make yourself happy. There's always going to be those that, trust me, they don't have the courage to get out and do the things that they want to do. So they want to try to take yours. It's like the crab in the bucket syndrome. You're trying to get to the top, but all the other crabs are trying to pull you down. Don't let those crabs steal your joy. Don't let them pull you down. Don't let them stop you from exceeding and achieving the goals that you have set forth for yourself. Do you and what fuels your fire. You got to do you and what fuels your fire. Now, we've all been faced with barriers. I know. There's times that we've fallen down, but the best part about falling down is the satisfaction of picking yourself up. I don't know too many people that have fallen down and not getting up. And I know it's a little scary. So when you think about it, I know if you've ever had kids and they've been at that stage where they're learning how to walk for the first time, they're hanging onto the table, kind of making their way around the edge. Excuse me, making their way around the edge. But what's one of the things that happens? As soon as they let go, the legs get wobbly and they start to fall. They may fall on their bottom, but they get right back up and they try it again. But when you're looking at your next steps and where you want to go, think about that. There's going to be times that you're walking around the table and you kind of hanging on just for dear life thinking, oh boy, if I let go, I'm going to fall. You might. But the best part about it again is what? You get a chance to pick yourself back up. But just know there's going to be enough times that that's going to happen that you're going to get to a point in your career, in your joy, in your fire, that you're going to let go and you're going to stand on your own 2 feet and you're going to be successful. Why? Because you believed in you. You didn't let those naysayers say that you can't do it. But I'm telling you, at certain times, life's going to pull you down. But it's up to you whether or not you let it keep you down. You have that choice. These are things that not I nor anyone else can tell you how to do. These are the things that only you can look deep inside yourself and say that I'm not going to let life keep me down. It may pull me down once, twice, three times, maybe even four, or even more. Who knows? But again, don't let life keep you down. Those are the things that you have to fight through. And remember, I told you about my fire. There's multiple things that light my fire, that get me going, that make me do what I do. Again, like I said, I worked in multiple organizations. I worked in manufacturing. I worked in corporate America. I served my country in the United States Army. I've been in the public sector. I've worked for energy companies. But at the end of the day, I recognize where my passion lies. And my passion lies right here, trying to share the experiences that I've had with you so that you can see and bring your experiences to the forefront so that you can be the person that you want to be, so that you can live your best life. And I talked about my grandmother again. She's part of the fuel to that fire. Again, I watched everything that she's went through in my years. And I tell you, she sacrificed. She sacrificed. And reading about the stuff that we read about in our history books, she lived it. She absolutely lived it. So for me, she's one that keeps my fire burning. And I'm proud to say, at 106 years old, she's still with me. That's why my fire is still burning so hard, because I want to be able to make something positive, not only of me, but of my family, so that I can continue to give back to, again, and you rewind, talk about the reverence, those that you honor, to rewind, to honor my grandmother, but also to honor my mother. She's been there all of my life. She's been my rock, my foundation. We have to have those folks in our lives. You have to. But you also got to recognize that those are the people that will be there for you when you're at your lowest. When you think you can't do anything, they're the ones that are going to be your cheerleaders. They're going to be in your corner. They're going to be like, you know what? You can do this. You just got to believe you can do it. And the other ones is my friends. Keep you a circle. Get you a circle of friends that will be there. They will go to bat for you. They will support you 100% no matter what. They're going to be in your corner. And for me, I look back to my area where I grew up, Topeka, Kansas. It's not a big community. It's the capital city of Kansas, but it's not a big community. And I think of the block where I grew up and some of the friendships that I forged on that block. Those are some of the most powerful friendships that I have to this very day. Those gentlemen that played basketball with me, that we hung out on the corner, we had fun, we did all these things together. They were all a part of my fire. They kept me going. They kept that competitiveness in my life. And they still are to this very day. So those friends, I wouldn't even call them friends anymore. Those are friends who became my brothers. They're my fire. You have to have that support system. Those that are moving in the same direction as you. This is another form of fuel. And I know they have my back 100%, no matter what, just like I have their back 100%, no matter what. So you think about this again. You look at who's in your corner, who's your fire, who gets you going, what fuels your fire. You can have more than one source of fuel. You can. But most important thing is that you got to recognize what your fuel is, as this is what supports you. Now, I'll talk a couple of things about things in my life that kind of helped me get to where I'm at. I said there's going to be some challenges. I said I serve my country. One of the things that, I kind of hit a wall. And we all do that. I hit a wall. I had multiple surgeries on my leg, and I felt like, I can't do this or I can't do that. But at the end of the day, I had a strong support system that kept pushing me to the point where I started writing. And as I say that, I published my first book in May of 2012, 5 years ago. Doesn't seem like it's been that long. But you remember when I said that my fire was my grandmother. She was the first one that got my fire burning. And in honor of her, I published a book in 2012 on leadership, motivation, giving back to those that you serve in the community. She's that foundation. And so I want to give this of me to you. And for the first 5 folks that text me at 210-204-9902 and put hashtag live your best life, what fuels your fire, and then tell me what fuels your fire, I will respond and I will send you an autographed copy of my book. There's 5 of them. Again, 210-204-9902, hashtag live your best life, what fuels your fire, and then tell me what that fire is. I will autograph that book for you. I will send it to you. And I hope that you will really take it to heart, look at the story, listen, ask yourself the questions that are in there. And hopefully this can help you begin to live your best life and recognize where that fire lies within you so that your fire can continue to burn. Because the last thing that you want to have happen is for someone to come to you again. Like I said before, those naysayers, they're going to come to you. It's inevitable because people don't want to see sometimes other people succeed because they feel like you're doing something to better yourself, but they're afraid, or again, they lack the courage because they're afraid to fail and they won't do it. So they want you to stay right there with them. But the only thing I can offer you right now is to, again, write these steps down. There's 4. Write down FIRE. The F, again, it stands for freedom. And I'll reiterate, freedom is the power that you have to set goals without limits. This is your goal. And remember, no one can stand in the way of you achieving your goals unless you let them. As you can be whatever it is that you aspire to be. Remember, this is your ignition source. This is the fuel, again, that lights your fire. Each one of us has it. And this may be some juggling back and forth so you can figure out who your fire is, what your fire is. You may think it's one thing, and in essence, it's really something else. But only you can figure out what that is. And again, that's going to be the drive, the determination that you have that's built within your DNA that's going to help you succeed. So take it a moment and think about that, of who or what that ignition source is, and use it to get your fire started. R, again, I'm going to remind you, this is reverence. This is the honor, not only to yourself, but those who have helped you to get where you're at today. In other words, this is where you begin to respect yourself for taking the chance. Or you can shorten it up and just say rev, because remember, I gave you that analogy of revving that engine up. When you hopped in that car and you ignited it, you got it going, you revved it up, but you had no clue where you were going. We've all been in that position. Again, like I said, there's been times that I was hungry, I was thirsty, I jumped in my car, but I had absolutely no clue where I was going. Figure out where you're going, rev it up, and then engage. This is where you start to move forward. And when you engage 100% of your passion in what it is that you want to be, trust me, you're going to begin to see your goals become to fruition. The most important part is getting moving. In order to live your best life, again, you can't just sit there. You got to move. You got to want to live your best life. You must get moving. So, with that, again, I want to thank you for taking the time to log in or actually being here to be a part of this great conference that we have. The 2017 Live Your Best Life Conference. This is something that when I was asked to be a part of this, again, I was humbled because I never thought that I could have the opportunity to be in front of you and share my experiences and share my vision. Because one of my good friends, Ruben, Ruben West, and it's funny because I like the quote that he talked about. It's about having sight with no vision. And there's a lot of us that have sight with no vision. But I had an aunt who couldn't see. She had no sight whatsoever, but she had all the vision in the world. So think about that for a minute. This is the time that you can take to live your best life. Again, as I said, it's a very exciting and special day. And this is the day that you will recognize what fuels your fire. Again, this is Ronnie Guest. I'm honored and privileged to have had the opportunity to be here with you today. And I thank you for taking your time out to live your best life. Thank you.